In HTML, there are two ways to denote quotes. The first way is for what are called inline quotes, and the other one is for longer sort of quotes that stand by themselves. So as an example, this first one here, let's say this is a paragraph, because most of this isn't actually a quote. Most of this is just descriptive stuff. But then in the middle of it, we have a quote right here. And so you can see I've denoted the quote with quote marks, but in HTML we could also wrap it with the Q tag like that, and that denotes that as being a quote. Now inline quotes are one of those tags that you don't use too often, the quote tags, because quote marks like this are usually good enough to denote when something is a quote. But quite often when you have a much larger quotation like this one here, you can see that there's maybe from a design point of view, this would stand out on its own. It would probably be in its own paragraph. Maybe it'd be a pull quote or something like that. So this would actually be another type of quote. And in HTML, that's called a block quote, which looks like this. So you take the block quote tags and you wrap it around the quote itself. With block quotes, though, there's usually a whole bunch of other information that you need. So block quotes often have a paragraph inside them because they can be multiple paragraphs. And also, you always want to cite the person who spoke that quote. So in this case, it would be the 10th Doctor, like that. So here is our big block quote. So quote tags are for small quotes, but block quotes are for big quotes. Now, there's another element that I'm going to introduce to you right now, but I talk about it a little bit more in a later video, and that's called the footer element. So the footer element is used to denote some sort of extra information. So for this one here, it would make sense to put this extra information inside of the footer element like this. So you can see that the cite wraps around the name of the person who actually spoke the quote, but the footer element sort of denotes that this piece of information is secondary to the primary part of information. So this is the proper way to mark up a block quote using the footer element.